Good morning, Blue family. Let's get a beat so we could say hello. Good morning, Brody. Good morning, Daniel. Good morning, Austin. I'm glad you're here today. Good morning, Ford. Good morning, Gianna. Good morning, Stella. I'm glad you're here today. Good morning, Eleanor. Good morning, Elena. Good morning, Brendan. I'm glad you're here today. Good morning, Jacob. Good morning, Victoria. Good morning, Emmy. I'm glad you're here today. Good morning, Jake. Good morning, Miss Alexa. Good morning, Miss Micah. I'm glad you're here today. We are going to do a little science experiment outside on the patio today. We have some supplies here on the table that we're going to use to make a mini volcano. We've got some baking soda, some water, some vinegar, some dish soap, and some food coloring. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some baking soda inside of my little volcano cup. I'm going to take a tablespoon and I'm going to put about 4 tablespoons of baking soda in my cup. 1, 2, 3, 4. I like big explosions. I'm going to add 2 more. 5, 6. Now I'm going to put a teaspoon of dish soap in here. And now I'm going to put some paint in here. Just put some red food coloring. And some blue food coloring in here. All right, now I'm going to put a little bit of water. And we're going to set it off with some vinegar. Whoa, look at it go. The chemical reaction between the baking soda and the vinegar makes a really cool volcano. And because I mixed blue and red, it's a little purplish. We're getting a lot of action out of our volcano here. Do you think it'll fill up the whole tray? I wonder. Oh, it's got some more in there. Whoa. The vinegar smells stinky. Wow, we're gonna fill up the whole tray with the volcano foam. Do you think it's going to go over the side, Miss Alexa?
Good.
I don't know. Look at that. It's filling up the whole tray.
That's cool.
Will it overflow? Looks cool with the rings around it, huh? Almost looks like outer space. I can hear it making noise. This is fun to do at home. You'll want to do it outside.
Everybody, move and stop. We're gonna play a game called Pop to Rock. Bounce, 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 bounce.
for the letter of the day. Today our letter is the letter R, like Robbie Rabbit. This is a lowercase r. This is a capital R. R makes it sound er. What starts with the letter R? How about a ring?
Hi, Blue Family. Today Miss Ann's going to read you your goodbye story, and we're going to be reading Robert Munsch and the Alligator Baby. One night, Kristen's mother woke up and yelled, "A baby, a baby, I'm having a baby." Kristen's father jumped up, zoomed around the room, got dressed, and grabbed Kristen's mother by the hand. They ran downstairs to the car and drove off very fast. Boom! Unfortunately, they got lost. They didn't go to the hospital. They went to the zoo. But it was okay. Kristen's mother had a lovely baby. Then they drove home and knocked on the front door. Bam, bam, bam. Kristen's mother opened the door, and there was her mom holding something all wrapped up. "Kristen," she said, "would you like to see your new baby brother?" "Oh, yes," said Kristen. So Kristen lifted the bottom of the blanket. She saw a long green tail and said, "That's not a people tail." See it right there? Kristen lifted up the middle of the blanket and saw green claws and said, "That's not a people claw." Kristen lifted up the top of the blanket and saw a long green face with lots of teeth and said, "That's not a people face. That is not my baby brother." Now Kristen said to her mom, "Don't be jealous." Just then the baby reached out and bit Kristen's mother on the nose, and she yelled, "Arg!" Look at that baby. Then the baby reached up and bit her father on the nose, and he yelled, "Arg!" "That's not a people baby," said Kristen. "That's an alligator baby." "Goodness," said her mother, "we've got the wrong baby." They do. Look, it's an alligator baby. Oh, so Kristen put the alligator baby into the fish tank, and her mother and father drove back to the zoo. They came back in an hour and knocked on the door. Bam, 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 bam. Kristen opened the door, and her mother said, "Would you like to see your new baby brother?" "Oh, yes," said Kristen. Kristen lifted up the bottom of the blanket, and she saw a fishy tail and said, "That's not a people tail." Kristen lifted up the middle of the blanket, saw a flipper, and said, "That's not a people flipper." Kristen lifted up the top of the blanket, saw a face with whiskers, and said, "That's not a people face. That's not my baby brother." "Now, Kristen," said her mother, "don't be jealous." Just then, the baby reached up with its flipper and flapped her father's face. Whap, whap, whap. He yelled, "Arg, it's a baby seal. We've got the wrong baby." So Kristen put the baby seal in the bathtub, and her mother and father drove back to the zoo. Oh, look at there's the seal playing in the bathtub. They came back in an hour and knocked on the door. Bam, bam, bam. They said, "Kristen, would you like to see your new baby brother?" "Oh, yes," said Kristen. She lifted up the bottom of the blanket, saw a very hairy leg, and said, "That's not a people leg." She lifted up the middle of the blanket, saw a very hairy arm, and said, "That's not a people arm." She lifted up the top of the blanket, saw a very hairy face, and said, "That's not a people face. That's not my baby brother." "Now, Kristen," said her mother, "don't be jealous." Then the baby reached up with his feet and grabbed her mother's ear and her father's ear, and they both yelled, "Arg! It's a baby gorilla. We've got the wrong—" "Let me do it," said Kristen. So her mother and her father put the baby gorilla on the chandelier in the living room, and Kristen went off to the zoo on her bike. First, Kristen looked in the snake cage. No people babies. Then Kristen looked in the wombat cage. No people babies. Then Kristen looked in the elephant cage. No people babies. Then she stopped and listened. From far away she heard, wah, wah, wah. That's more like it, said Kristen. She followed the sound. It was coming from the gorilla cage. Kristen looked at the mommy gorilla and said, give me my baby brother. The gorilla jumped away and wouldn't give the baby back. There's the baby right there. Then the people baby reached up and bit the gorilla on the nose. And the gorilla yelled, arg, and handed the baby back to Kristen. Kristen jumped on her bike and pedaled home. Kristen knocked on the door. Bam, bam, bam. When her parents opened it, she said, would you like to see your new baby? Kristen's mother lifted up the bottom of the blanket and said, yes, people legs. She lifted up the middle of the blanket and said, look, people hands. She lifted up the top of the blanket and said, look, a people face. Kristen's mother picked up the baby and gave it a big hug. Her father took the baby and gave it a big hug. And her mother said, Kristen, Kristen, you got the baby back. Good for you. But what are we going to do with all these other babies, yelled Kristen's father. There is a seal baby in the bathtub, an alligator baby in the fish tank, and a gorilla baby hanging from the chandelier. We should take them back to the zoo. But Kristen looked out the window and said, I don't think we'll have to do anything at all. Look at, they're all coming and they look mad. They're coming for their babies. And everything was okay until Kristen's mother had twins.
Let's get a beat so we can say goodbye. Na 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 na, na 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 na. Hey, 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 goodbye. Goodbye, Jacob. Goodbye, Elena. Hey, 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 goodbye. Goodbye, Brandon. Goodbye, Jake. Hey, 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 goodbye. Goodbye, Stella. Goodbye, Eleanor. Hey, 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 goodbye. Goodbye, Ford. Goodbye, Daniel. Hey, 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 goodbye. Goodbye, Victoria. Goodbye, Brody. Hey, 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 goodbye. Goodbye, Austin. Goodbye, Amy. Hey, 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 goodbye. Goodbye, Gianna. Goodbye, Miss Micah. Hey, 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 goodbye. Goodbye, Blue family.